Hey, what's up? It's Brian here, and in this video I'm going to share another powerful quote from the book Life Lessons. So this segment is about valuing what is important in life and recognizing what doesn't last also. So this segment that I'm going to go into is on page 85, and the author actually tells a story about themselves. The author says that he got a watch from his dad. I think it's he. Yeah, when his dad passed on, and his dad told him when he gave it to him, you will have to say goodbye to it someday too. And then the author goes on to say that he actually misplaced the watch, and then he says this in the quote on the page: I had always known I would lose this watch someday, either through my own death or some other circumstances. I really had to sit with the feeling and the knowledge of how temporary everything we have is, how it is truly on loan to us. As time went on, I got used to this concept and the inevitable loss that had occurred. Instead of focusing exclusively on the watch, I found other ways I was connected to my father in my childhood. I made peace with my father's reminder that I too would say goodbye to everything someday. 3 months later, I spilled a glass of water on my nightstand. When I leaned over the bed to clean it up, I found the watch. It had fallen behind a bed rail. It is now back on my wrist, but I really understand that all of our gifts are temporary. And in this saying goodbye to all, we find something inside of ourselves that does not get lost. Most things we own mean something to us, not because of anything actually in the things themselves. Instead, they mean so much to us because of what they represent, and what they represent is ours forever. So that's a great perspective, and it's something to really be aware of, and it's there for all of us to see too. And when I say that, I mean we see so many people go through life, and even ourselves at different points in time, prioritizing external things: money, jewelry, shoes, sports collectibles, just any things, right? And sometimes we might even frame this like, oh, this is sentimental to us, and that's perfectly fine. But I want you to think about this: when you pass on, your child has it. Will it be sentimental to them, or when they pass on, will it be sentimental to their child? And if the answer is no, and then what will be sentimental, right? So I think this ties in the idea. What the author was alluding to is things themselves, they're not really important. It's what things symbolize, is what they represent, right? And you can always take that with you without that physical thing. And I'll even add on to this goes for people too. So even if you have a loved one that died, you can still gain inspiration from them. You can gain wisdom from them. You can gain life lessons from them, messages, all that stuff. Right? Like this ties into the idea too. Don't worry so much about what you're passing on physically to your children, right? Because that's just a physical thing. Worry about passing on internal wealth, because that's something you can take on, and that can live forever, so to speak. It really can, because the knowledge that you have, you can share that to someone else, then they can share that knowledge to someone else. A life lesson never dies. At least it shouldn't, in my opinion. And as I alluded to actually in the first video, I have an idea to really change the landscape of legacies. I think when people die, someone may have already done it, but I'll share it at a different point. But I just think it's a tragedy that so many people die with thousands and thousands, maybe millions of lessons inside their head and things that they learned in life, and then so often it just dies with them, or they just share it with one child, and then that child might forget 90% of what that parent said or something. It's just kind of weird to me, and this is really deep. I think when you're talking about gaining inspiration from past people alive, right? But I think we as society, we can really do that, and there's just something that I can't quite put my finger on that's just missing in the world around that stuff. And I'm processing all that too. But I think that's kind of tied in with this segment, where anything physical, that's going to die someday. But then that poses the question, then what does live on? And that's something that, honestly, for me, I'm really trying to think about, and I'm really reflecting hard on lately. What does live on? Right? So comment down below your thoughts on the quote, or any additional perspective that you have on it. I think the main message is just prioritize internal wealth, and notice that every physical thing is just temporary. So don't put too much stock into anything physical, and instead prioritize the mental processes of your life and the internal wealth that you have, and really prioritize shining that onto the world and the next generations to come. Mind over matter. Thanks for watching. Comment down below your thoughts on the video.